Here to discuss is the aforementioned Montana Congressman Matt Rosendale. Congressman, thank you so much for being with us. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks for having me on, Allison.
Of course. So I know Biden was appealing to the low information voters last night, but how many in Congress are on board with this insanity of a blank check to Ukraine?
Not many. We saw that the support for this just endless flow of money from the United States to Ukraine has dwindled dramatically over the last year. I'm glad that a lot of my colleagues have now joined me and recognized many of the things that you have just said, and that is that principally 3 years ago, that the only way that we heard about Ukraine was that they were laundering dirty money for dirty politicians. And now all of a sudden they're supposed to be held up as the beacon of democracy around the world, and that just is not so. We've sent well over $100 billion worth of support to Ukraine already. We can only track about 30 billion of it because it's gone in the form of weapons. We can't even track all of those weapons. And the additional financial aid that's gone, we've not had an accounting of, and it's time for us to stop. I introduced legislation, both last Congress and this Congress, to the Secure America's Border First Act to make sure that we secure our border. And as we saw the president struggle with that speech delivery last night, $60 billion out of that total was going to be directed to Ukraine. We see another, I think it was 14 billion that's supposed to be to support border security, Allison. But I'm telling you, that's to build facilities and put social support down there for illegal immigrants. That is not going to support our border security. It's going to invite more illegals to come into our country.
Yeah, it really is just all bad. It's horrific what is happening, what he's allowing to happen in this once great nation of ours. We're now $34 trillion in debt with just millions flooding across our wide open border, and Americans are suffering under Bidenomics. How hopeful should we be that the GOP will actually restore some fiscal sanity here?
We are working very hard, and many folks have been giving us support on the work that we are trying to do. While some folks may be very upset that we removed Kevin McCarthy as Speaker of the House 10, 12 days ago, there's a lot of people across the nation that recognize that the reason that that took place was because he was garnering more votes from the Democrats than he was from the Republicans in order to pass massive spending bills, whether it was the debt ceiling package that he basically opened up the checkbook to the Biden administration for about $4 trillion to add to that national debt by capping it off by a date certain of January of 2025, or pushing through the CR, which added another, who even knows how much spending to the national deficit, and passed that with 209 Democrat votes. We have got to have people that are willing to stand up and say, we cannot sustain this. The United States is spending in the neighborhood of $7 trillion a year to fund all of the federal government, and we are bringing in $5 trillion a year worth of revenue. Simple math tells you that that's a $2 trillion a year deficit that we will add to the national debt. But Allison, that doesn't account for the nearly $1 trillion a year that we are currently paying to service the interest on that debt, which means we're adding $3 trillion a year. And in 5 short years, we will be faced with a $50 trillion national debt, which will consume 50% of the annual revenue that we collect just to service the interest on it. So if you think that we're being forced to make difficult decisions now, I don't know what people think is going to happen in 5 years when 50% of the revenue is going out to pay the interest.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.